my residence can be threatening them with getting a video.
Oh, yeah, so what I did to get is I told them. Like,
well, nobody showed up, right?
So this way you can tell them. You're going to say, are you on YouTube? Do you like this? Okay, so when you tell them, are we live? Whatever, I'm not red light point. I told those students that if I didn't get attendance at my events, that I was going to get live. And then they could always super strict, was going to write them up for everything. I was over 10 I do that all my 4 years, every week. And I would also get almost every student to my class. They would just show me like, hey, are you counting down your head count? I was like, yep, 5. They're like, cool. And they're also friends.
That's honestly good. I have.
If you're having issues, just like,
That's like the residents that have to see, like,
I never saw that. And my first they're like, you remember any? I literally looked at them, I was like, you never been to anything. Like, no. I can tell you what street you lived in. They're like, you have Ladies on low to the secret.
You got me more than
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You're over here, you got me that will get you.
I'm hearing this is mom's full spot there.
You have any Instagram? No.
Thank God.
I have. Wow.
I've been using
Seriously, that's always bad.
all shows. Not worry. That was very solid.
Like, Costa Rica, we had done there, which was here.
Acting as a prostitute. So,
I didn't really want a phone call, but.
both on
They need to like walk head down and sprint to the room and be like, come on, and I'll be like, go to bed. Like, go last semester, I'm only doing like 600 pages of notes on that thing.
We were just talking about
I heard about it split.
I'll probably be there.
I love that. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I work there.
I don't know if I went until someone asked football stuff. You did? I already reached out to the I mean, he's like super famous. Like about to
That was my first.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to sit next to you anyway. Looking for, I normally like to have one of those army table things. Thanks, Mark, for helping Tyler feel like he has a friend. Thanks for helping Tyler feel like he has a friend over there.
Alright, it is now 4 p.m. So if everybody is ready and seats, I will go ahead and call our first student government meeting of the academic year to order. Well, everybody, it is very, very wonderful to see all of your faces again. I hope that everybody had a truly awesome, wonderful summer. But we're going to go ahead and kick this off with roll call to make sure that we've got everybody. Please, as I go through this list, if I mispronounce a name or if there is a different name that you would like to be referred to by, please correct me. I will be more than happy to accommodate that. But I'm going to start out with Senator Geber Miriam, or probably way off with that. Gerber Miriam seems to be absent. Senator Bassnett.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Kang.
In.
Wonderful. Thank you. Senator Larson.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Woldekaiden. Wonderful. Thank you. Senator Dermenji. Thank you. Senator Nguyen.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Senator Roberts.
Here.
Nice. Senator Abera. Wonderful. Thank you. Senator Hune.
Here.
Awesome.
Wait.
Quinn. Thank you. Senator Nirala.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Al-Harbi. No Senator Al-Harbi. Senator Dustin.
Here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Senator Atmaker. I believe we may have them over Zoom. I don't see them on the Zoom as of right now. Senator Mendez Martinez. Wonderful. Thank you. Senator Hawk. Maybe over Zoom? No. Senator Maltari. That was one that I was informed of. Senator Mesta.
Here.
Senator Osman. Senator Parek.
Here. I'll request you to call it Parik.
Parikh.
Parik.
Sorry, what?
Parik.
Parikh.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, sorry.
Very good.
Senator Seek. Amazing, thank you. Senator Blanchard.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Hansen.
Here.
Senator Job.
Here.
And I am aware that Senator Roiger has sent a proxy. What would you like me to put down as your proxy name? Would you like to be referred to as Proxy Walls?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Sorry. And President Zellner,
Here.
Vice President Ibrahim,
Here.
and myself. Wonderful. Then it looks like with roll call out of the way, we can go ahead and get started on this. The first order of business is going to be presentations. I am aware that we have one presentation that is on our agenda, which is actually going to be led by me. So I'm going to be vacating my position temporarily to go run a fun slideshow to talk about how to Senate and just sort of introduce people to how we are going to be doing Senate this year. So I will go. Oh, did you set it up? Yes, please do. There we go. And then Sorry, pardon me. Very professional, I know. Sorry for the delay. Hello. Would you? Nice. Oh no, it's disconnected me from the internet. We had it set up, but there will always be internet issues. Right. Might I be able to request from IT Solutions that we have the presentation shared on the screen? Cool, thank you. Sorry for the delay, everybody. All right, I'm going to move myself over here so that I can better go through the slideshow. But we are just going to talk about the 9th year student government, our Robert's Rules, some basic etiquette for the meetings, and some expectations. This should be a very brief presentation, but if people do have any questions, please raise your hands, or if you have them, placards. We will be getting placards to everybody over the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, if you raise your hand, I will do my best to practice due diligence in calling on people. But some Robert's Rules, just a little bit of overview. We use Robert's Rules to try to conduct the meeting in the most efficient way that allows for the most people to be able to speak in order to create a more equitable environment for people to have the ability to speak. If it comes up that Robert's Rules becomes too complicated or bogged down and is no longer achieving that function of actually helping to foster that conversation, we can always motion to suspend certain parts of Robert's Rules in order to help the meeting flow more smoothly. However, we're going to go through a couple of key things. I will say, first of all, I ask that simply in the spirit of us all being professionals, we show a level of respect to one another. I will not be tolerating disrespect towards any other members of Senate or to our fine guests that we bring in, nor to our exec board. And I ask that people simply extend that level of respect to me as well. How to be recognized, as I previously stated, we will be getting placards for everybody. Until we get placards, I will ask that people raise their hand, and I will call on you to offer people the opportunity to speak. Once we do have placards, Namita, as somebody, or sorry, Senator Bassnett, as somebody with a placard, would you please turn your placard vertically as a demonstration?
Yes.
Thank you very much. When you have something to say, I would ask that people turn their placard as Senator Bassnett has done in order to indicate that you have something that you would like to say, and then I will call on you. If there are multiple people who have raised their placard, I will keep a list of those people in something called the speakers list in order to help facilitate that conversation. And that is the speakers list. I also ask that if somebody says the same thing that you were about to say, you please yield to redundancy, which means to retract your position on the speakers list if you have nothing new to add to the conversation. Thank you very much, Senator Bassnett. Next up, oh my gosh, I just talked about that with the raising of placards. However, this is talking about motions, so I'll get into that a little bit too. Motions are certain aspects of Robert's Rules that allow for us to steer the conversation in a specific direction. We'll go through a couple of examples of motions shortly. However, when you have a motion, that takes precedent over people with simple discussion points. So what I will be having people do, if it is possible for people to do, is to raise their placard instead of simply lifting it, placing it vertically, and state motion. Please do not state motion more than one time. Don't just be sitting there going, motion, motion, I have a motion. I don't want a very disruptive Senate. I would love to just have one simple statement of motion. I will take that down, and we will jump you to next in line in the speakers list so that we may go over that. After being recognized, you will then state your motion, which we'll get into what those motions are right now. Motions. So, first motion, which will likely be one of the more common ones, is point of information. This is not a cheat code to break into a discussion and jump yourself to the front of the line and share an opinion that you might have something on. This is simply for statement of fact. So if, for example, we are talking about student events team and we're saying, well, I don't know what student events team is planning for the next couple of weeks, and that information may prove critical to whatever decision we're making, and you happen to know that information, you can say, point of information, you will be acknowledged, and then you will be able to share that information so that we may all discuss with the new information at hand. Move to previous question is used to end discussion on a topic. It's a bit of a weird phraseology, but essentially this motion can be used to end a discussion period and move us into a voting period. So if we've been discussing and talking on something for too long, you can use this motion of move to previous question to take us to a vote. Motion to table. Any motion to table that you make will push off any discussion or issue that we're talking about to a later date. I will say I will be requiring people to specify the date when they make this motion, because a motion to table indefinitely is effectively the same as killing a bill without proper discussion. So I will be asking people to state their date when they are making this motion. This is also something that would have to be voted on by the body, so you can't just motion this and then we move on to the next topic for the next day. A good example of when to use this one is if we are running out of time for the meeting and we know that we all have somewhere to be after this and a topic seems like it is going to take a lot longer, or in the event that some new information comes to light that may require us to spend more time thinking about something, or not enough information is present for us to make a decision. Motion to extend the speakers list. I may at times limit the speakers list and say I'm only allowing for 3 more people to speak on a topic if we've been talking for too long, and if you think that was a bad call and you would like for my speakers list to be expanded for more people to talk, you can motion as such. You can also make the opposite motion to limit the speakers list and place a hard limit on how many more people can add discussion points before we must move on. Sorry, throat's already getting dry and we're only like 10 minutes into this, but not into the presentation. The presentation will not be too long, but the meeting in general. Motion to amend a current motion. This is simply, as stated, the motion to change something about the motion which does not fundamentally oppose the motion, but is something that can be used. For example, if I said, I motion that we allocate $100 to the student events team. I'm going to pick on them again because I saw Tyler Pickle in the room and now I'm thinking about it. I motion that we allocate an additional $100 to student events team. And then someone says, I don't think that's enough. I think we should amend the motion to $150. That's an example of an amendment. And the final motion that I have listed here under common motions is point of order. This can be used if you feel that I have done something in running the meeting that was possibly done incorrectly. I have breached Robert's rules, or I've breached the rules that were previously set about in the meeting for how we were going to run it, or I've accidentally overlooked someone in the speakers list. Any of these reasons can be used to do a motion to point of order in order to draw attention to something that I may have missed. Because I'm human and I'm definitely going to be making quite a few mistakes in the first couple of weeks, so I encourage people to use a point of order on me. That covers some of the frequently used motions. I'll pause here and ask if anyone has any questions on these before I move on to another topic. Very nice, wonderful. All right, voting. So whenever we do a vote, there are several different ways that we can do a vote. We might do a vote by acclamation, which is where we have everybody say yay or nay. We may do a vote by raising placards or raising hands, in which a raised placard indicates that you support one of these given options. We may also do a paper vote, in which we have people write down their option on a piece of paper and then submit it to be counted. Each of those has, of course, varying levels of seriousness depending on what we may be talking on. But the three options that will be present are a vote for something, a vote against something, and an abstention. A vote for something is, as stated, that you are in favor of the proposed motion. Vote against, you are opposed to the stated motion. And an abstention is something that removes your vote entirely from the pool. So it is not a vote for or against something. It is just saying that you do not feel that you should be voting on this matter, and would limit the pool from, let's say, 30 people are voting to now your vote simply pulled out. 29 people are voting, and your vote does not count in either direction. We say that it would be best to not use abstentions all of the time, simply if you are not sure on something, because you guys are in these seats because you were elected to these positions to represent the students that you were elected to represent, and abstentions more or less are you saying that I do not wish to vote on this particular issue. We do, however, encourage people to abstain if they have a conflict of personal interest, or if they simply do not feel that they should vote on something for any myriad of other reasons. The main one is usually just a conflict of interest, but yeah, if people have other reasons for abstention, I will not press you on that, but we do like to ask people to participate as much as humanly possible. Next up, meeting etiquette. We ask that people do not use their cell phones or personal computers for the meetings, because oftentimes that can get very distracting, and when you've got one tab open, you go over to the other ones, and now you're shopping on Shein during the meeting. Sorry, Emma.
No worries.
But we instead ask that people utilize paper for notes, and I know that last year we provided people with legal pads. Is that something that we are planning on doing again this year?
We will.
Yes, wonderful. I was not entirely sure if that was the case, but I'm glad to hear it. Yes. Snacks, if you guys are going to have snacks, I personally am okay with that. I recognize that sometimes people have to eat, but please clean up after yourself and try not to be too loud or noisy about it. Dress code. We have no official dress code. Please come in what you are comfortable in. I will say, if we have a high-profile guest coming, like either the president of the university or a political figure, I will send out something ahead of time, and I may ask that people dress a little bit nicely, especially since we usually end up taking photos at those, and then those live on our Instagram forever, so you want to look nice for them. Office hours. Senators are expected to fill 6 office hours every 2 weeks. That can be a myriad of different things, and unfortunately does not include this meeting because we expect everybody to already be here, so it would be redundant to include that in our office hour tally. That can include any other committees that you're a part of, any time that you spend working on a project that is related to student government, any time that you are representing student government or advocating on the behalf of issues from student government. And we've also decided that this year we are going to expand it to also include volunteer hours at some of the other locations on campus that have service-type volunteering. At the moment, that is a fairly limited list until we figure out what specifically we are counting as service volunteering hours versus not service volunteering hours, but I will tell you that what is going to definitely be included in that is Campus Kitchen / the Maverick Food Pantry. So volunteering at those places will also count towards office hours. You will submit those office hours to me. We have a form to do so on Presence on the website there, where everyone will be able to submit that form to me. We also ask that senators provide 2 Senate reports per semester. You can provide more than that if you wish to, though it is not required. And a Senate report is basically where you come up to that podium at a given point during our Senate meeting, and you talk for about roughly 2 minutes and say what you've been up to relating to Senate and student government. It sounds like something very challenging and very daunting. I assure you it is not. It will be not a very stressful environment. We just ask that you come up and tell us about any projects you've been working on, anything that you've been doing in committee, or other related things to student government. We are not counting anything that you are doing with particular RSOs or other groups that are not related to student government. If you want to talk about anything to do with your RSO or plug anything or any events that you're working on, the announcements are a wonderful time to do so. Oh, we also recommend that you wait about 2 weeks in between doing these presentations so that you have a different thing to update us on than you did last time. And that is actually my last slide. I'm sorry I didn't put on a nice, like, yay, we did it, we're done slide. But that covers my sort of how to Senate presentation, sort of like a crash course of what you might need to know. Do we have any questions on this? Yes?
I have a question. So you mentioned that RSOs are usually not related to the projects. What if my project is an RSO and I'm basically the founder of it?
If your project happens to be the founding of an RSO that is in some way a service or an aid or a boon to students in any way, I would count that as office hours to work on the founding of that. I don't know that I would count just like casual RSO meetings from that point on. You know, I think I might get back to you on that one actually.
But maybe events that are happening within the RSO, not meetings. That's what I was saying.
I think that I would count that. Yeah. I will allow for that. Yes?
Yeah, could you send this meeting just for future, or the presentation just for future reference?
Yes, I will send this out to everybody after this meeting. Senator Roberts?
Would you be fine, as presidents can be special sometimes, accepting emailed office hours?
I would be fine accepting emailed office hours. I ask people to utilize Presence whenever it is possible to do so for record-keeping purposes, because then if I get it via email, I have to input it on the back end into another form. But in the event that Presence is not working for you, I would accept an email. Oh, I yield to John Bocock.
Oh, the question was about email stuff. The senators will be added to Teams, and so that might be easier to access files rather than try and track stuff down in your email. So you'll probably have access to the resources via Teams as well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any other questions related to the How to Senate presentation? Wonderful. Seeing no further questions, we will move along to Open Forum. Open Forum is a place where anybody can jump up and say anything that they wish to bring to the attention of Senate. This is not just for our senators, but also for members of the galley who would like to speak. Yes, I recognize David Cowan.
Thank you, Speaker Novak. I have some candy that's being distributed by our IT professionals. But beyond that, I wanted to bring the Senate up to date on the expansion of the free lot, which has been a 10-year struggle from various Senates, including the 89th Senate, which just went sine die here last April. But we did include several hundred additional stalls to the free lot. It's in lot 22, and for those of you who have these white envelopes, inside the packet is a white parking map. And if you're not familiar with the campus, this map is there for you to look at. And in that, you're going to see lot 23, the free lot, is white. But then we have lot 22, which has some stripes and some orange to it. Lot 22 south, right near the blue dome. And that is the additional several hundred stalls that we've added as free and open on top of the inventory we now have in lot 23. So we just want people that are using lot 23 and lot 22 south to register, go on to the parking portal and register their vehicle, so in case something goes wrong with their vehicle, it's damaged or some leaking oil or something, we can get a hold of them pretty fast. So that's the good news, and it's being used. This is day 3, and we are finding that it's being used to the fullest, along with lot 23 north and south. So that's the good news. You should have less kibitzing, less argument from your constituents now that we have additional free parking on campus. And this is not a gravel lot, folks. This is a hard surface lot that permit holders paid good money to have hard surfaced in the past. The bus system is also taken off, and in that same yellow or white envelope you're going to see a bus schedule. And that bus schedule, if you don't want to read through the bus schedule, the candy that was passed out is your ticket to find out what's going on with the bus system. It's a bus locator. It's actually even more than that. I use it as a stress reliever. I chew on it. You can chew on that if it gets a little hectic during your class. But you can also see all the shuttles and all the buses throughout the day. They're all on GPS. And Mr. Speaker, one last thing. We have reinvigorated Route 7, the Downtown Express, which is a 5-minute run downtown. And that's pretty good, particularly for freshmen and international students. Athletics likes it. Why? Because on hockey Fridays, this thing goes until 10 p.m. on Fridays, and can pick them up, take them down there and pick them up after a hockey game. And for some of the international students, we've included some of the MOS as well in the Route 7. So we expect additional ridership in that route, and we expect our ridership to go back to 2019 levels in the rest of the U zone. And our best year was 500,000 rides. And I want to thank the Student Senate and the Allocations Committee for the $400,000 that they provided for this year's green transportation fee, which allowed us to do the U-Zone route. That's it, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. David Cowan, before you leave the podium, I will now ask if anybody has any questions for Mr. Cowan. Yes, Senator Roberts.
I wanted to ask you if you're open to keeping the free lot expansion beyond November 1st.
Well, it was quite a debate last spring to keep it going until November 1st. And I think the Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee, that'll be a hot topic. They'll want to see how it's working this September, this August. And what's ever on the agenda, you have 2 votes on that 6-vote panel. So yes, I'm sure it'll be brought up. It's going to be tough to move people out of Lot 22 after they've had 2 months in Lot 22. I grant you that, so that will certainly be something that the committee will have to consider. because I'm not going to go out there with a baseball bat and try to move people. Not what I'm going to do. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anything else for Mr. Cohen? No, seeing none. Thank you very much. Round of applause for our first open forum speaker. Do we have anyone else for open forum? Yes.
Thank you, Speaker Novak. My name is Brian Schneider, and I'm with IT Solutions. And my title is I'm your Assistant CIO and Director of Technical Services in IT Solutions. And I wanted to update the 90th Senate on some of the things that we've been working on. We've been working on a lot of things over the summer while everybody was gone. But a few of the notable things that students need to be aware of, we've been working to do some upgrades of the audiovisual equipment in the classrooms. Not all of them, but many of them over the summer. Upgrading the old systems from about 6 or 7 years ago. We've also been updating some of the computers in the computer labs that were getting older too. Those are probably about 5 or 6 year old computers in those computer labs to update them. Some other things that we've been working on is we've been doing some preparation work for a rather large esports tournament that we're going to be hosting right here in Mankato, actually down at the Mayo Clinic Health Systems Event Center that's downtown. And that's going to be September 17th. We'll be telling you more about this, but it is kind of a huge event. It's an invitational tournament, and we've got participants coming from about 6 different states to join us in that. So we'll tell you about that in the coming weeks. So we've been prepping for that. We're getting ready to roll out a little improvement to MathPrint, where you can use QR code in your phone to quickly scan and release your print jobs. So that's going to be rolling out pretty soon. We've also been, at the request of students last year, the Student Tech Fee Committee, that we need to make improvements to our Wi-Fi. And Speaker Novak, I heard you loud and clear, and we're going to be making improvements to our Wi-Fi. So we've already begun that. We replaced 411 access points, which are the little boxes up in the corner on the ceiling, in the academic buildings, and we upgraded those, and we've also been doing site surveys in some of our buildings to find out what kind of interference and noise and coverage problems we have. So we've completed Nelson Hall so far. We've done a survey here in the CSU, Armstrong Hall, Clinical Science Building, and Memorial Library. And we're working with Cisco Engineering to try to see how we can redesign our Wi-Fi to make it better. And then we'll be making changes, and then we'll be remeasuring everything. So we're going to do those 5 buildings first, and then we're going to be moving to the other buildings later on in the semester and through spring semester. So we're going to have dramatic improvements to our Wi-Fi network. So that work is going to be continuing. We also replaced our network firewalls over the summer. Let's see. And one other notable thing that's going to be coming up, we're getting ready next week to start a pilot of a replacement of our telephone system. Right now it's a Cisco telephone system, but we found out that Zoom can also be a telephone system, and we're going to be piloting that to see how it goes. What we want to do is determine how that might improve communication with faculty, staff, and students, and also save the university a lot of money. So we're going to be doing a pilot. We're going to be talking to the faculty, staff, and students probably in about a month or 2, letting them know all about Zoom phones and how it might improve communication and save the university money. And then we'll get a decision on whether to move forward or not with this, and then we'll be rolling that out if it's being chosen as their new phone system this winter and next spring. So those are some of the main things that we do. So I'll be your representative here from IT Solutions. I'm also a representative of the Tech Fee, which is one of your fees that we have. We'll be talking to you, coming back and talking to you about serving on the Tech Fee Committee so we can come up with a plan for next year. So that's coming up. And one more role that I have is I'm also the city council person for the city of Mankato. So I am your representative for the university, and also a lot of the off-campus students as well is in my ward. My ward is not any of the residence halls, but I do know the person that is responsible for that. So if you have any suggestions or issues with the city, you can bring that to me as well. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Brian Schneider from IT Solutions? All right, seeing no questions, thank you very much. Round of applause. I know. All right, is there anybody else for open forum? I will recognize Bruce Wenzel. Wenzel, thank you.
Can everybody hear me okay?
If you could get a little bit closer to the mic, please.
Is this all right? All right, thank you, Speaker Novak. This is an impromptu meeting for me. This is my first time speaking at student government, so bear with me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bruce Wenzel. I am the president and co-founder of the Neurodiversity Activists at MSU Mankato. I am here at direction, under recommendation from President Inch himself. He sent me an email in reply to a message I sent him a couple weeks ago, recommending that I speak with the President's Commission on Diversity and Student Government as well. I've already spoken with the former, so here I am today speaking to student government. And I guess the best way to describe the issue I'm here to speak on would be to say that the purpose of the neurodiversity activists at MSU Mankato is to facilitate the shift from what the queer autistic scholar Nick Walker calls the pathology paradigm, which is essentially the view that there is one normal neurology, and anything that diverges from that strict definition of normal means that there is something wrong with you, with the person. And we shift that discourse to what she calls the neurodiversity paradigm, which is the opposite view, says that neurological diversity is a natural form of human diversity subject to the same societal dynamics as other forms of diversity, namely oppression. And the big issue that I have highlighted over the summer, especially here at MSU Mankato, is the fact that the university teaches applied behavior analysis, ABA, in various forms at the university. And just to give you the quick rundown of why that is an issue for us, is that in 1961, the UCLA psychologist Ivar Lovász was tasked with addressing what they perceived to be behavioral problems of autistic kids, and he invented applied behavior analysis, ABA, in an attempt to, in his words, make autistic kids indistinguishable from their peers, their neurotypical peers. And he came up with basically a system of rewards and punishments ranging from, at that time, electric shock to withholding affection. 11 years later, in 1972, he and his autistic-phobic colleagues co-founded the government-funded Feminine Boy Project, which basically they used ABA to form what we now call gay conversion therapy. And I'm also a member of the Pride Fest organizing committee here in Mankato, and the thing that I tell the people who are organizing that is basically conversion therapy for LGBTQIA plus people is just ABA applied to gender, sexual, and romantic minorities, and conversion therapy for autistic and otherwise neurodivergent people is just ABA applied to neurominorities. So we're all fighting against the same thing, we just don't know it yet, because that history has been withheld from us in the media and education and various other institutions. And this is not the effort to ban applied behavior analysis is not just a local concern, it is a global concern. Next Wednesday, in fact, is the 5th International Day of Protest Against ABA. And I'm currently working on getting the founder of that holiday, Alex Kronstein, to come visit us over Zoom and educate the university about that event. And so really what I'm here to do is to start the conversation about removing ABA from the campus curriculum, because frankly I don't see how the university can have its motto saying, big ideas, real world thinking, when its curriculums as they currently stand do not reflect the really existing diversity of human minds. So I'm here to basically address an internal contradiction and advocate for students who don't feel comfortable speaking up for themselves for various reasons. I don't really know what else to say other than, are there any questions? Yes?
Do
we know?
I don't know the process.
Sorry, that's completely all right. But I will go ahead and call on people. But I do very much so appreciate the enthusiasm for you to already ask for questions. But Proxy Walls?
Do you know to what extent the university is teaching this? Is it more of a this exists but it's not recommended anymore, or are they actually teaching these methods?
They are actually teaching these methods in multiple departments on campus. And the issue is that just as in the 60s, the norm was to say that homosexuality, for example, was a mental disorder and to treat it with conversion therapy and various other things. The dominant norm, the dominant viewpoint today is to say that neurocognitive styles like autism are mental disorders, and then that is then used to justify conversion therapy for neurodivergent people. The big, it's very pervasive. I would say that the big offender would be the psychology program, where ABA is, like, they have applied behavior analysis classes. And I wrote a letter to the editor of the MSU Reporter back in April talking about what I called the MSU ABA pipeline, where you have students, for example, and psychology is not the only department, but just for, keep time short here. Let's say you are a psychology student who is being taught ABA, and there are other derivatives of ABA like positive behavioral interventions and supports, PBIS. And so you go through the psychology program, you're taught autism is a mental disorder, you're taught to treat it with ABA, you graduate, then you are hired by a facility, a business like Caravel Autism Health, which is just an ABA clinic. It's an autistic conversion clinic. That business in particular, Caravel Autism Health, from what I understand, has in the past exhibited at the career fair here. They should not be exhibiting at the career fair here. And then also, too, the Greater Mankato Growth, the Regional Economic Chamber of Commerce, which President Inch himself serves on the board of directors, that supports Caravel Autism Health. So it is a very systemic issue. It is not just a matter of one or two professors are teaching something that has fallen out of date. It's this stuff is wrong, and people haven't recognized that it's just another manifestation of, it's actually the original conversion therapy. Like, the thing that I tell people and what I wrote in my article is that if you're against gay conversion therapy, you should be against autistic conversion therapy, because the latter inspired the former. Does that sufficiently answer? Okay.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions for our guest? Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Round of applause. All right. Did I also see Dean Beltos for open forum?
What are you saying? I'm short? Hi, everyone. Thank you, Speaker Novak, for letting me speak to you today. I am Jennifer Velsos, the Interim Associate Vice President for Curriculum and Dean of Graduate Studies. It's a really long title that I have to take a deep breath for before I say it, but the easiest way to think about it is I work with academic programs, departments as they create courses and the requirements that you will be working towards to complete your undergraduate and graduate degrees. I work with the general education curriculum, which is that cluster of courses that we don't really describe well enough about why we have you do that, but it's intended to give you a broad perspective on issues that sort of have been agreed upon as being important for an educated citizenry in this area, or at least by this faculty at the institution. I'm also here today, and you'll see me at most meetings, representing the Council of Deans. This is a group of academic administrators who meet regularly to talk about issues that face students in terms of academics, but in a lot of other areas as well. So that's why I'm particularly pleased that you are letting me speak after Mr. Wenzel here, because you should know that there will be a member of the Council of Deans at pretty much every meeting. And we are here to listen to you, to listen to what your concerns are, and then to take them back and discuss them among ourselves, with the provost and with the other members of extended cabinet and with the faculty. So if you see me around campus, please make sure that you say hello. Please give a warm welcome when my colleagues come to your future meetings. If you have questions, you can always reach me at curriculum@mnsu.edu, or you can go straight to the provost at provost@mnsu.edu, and we'll be in touch with you as soon as we can. I want to welcome you all back to campus. It is exciting to see so many people back on campus, and I want to thank you for standing up, for volunteering to be part of the student government. I've been attending these meetings this is going to be my 4th year of attending these meetings, and honestly, y'all run a better meeting than most of the academic departments on campus. You have great conversations. You really do your research. It is inspiring to sit here and watch you deliberate. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that again this year. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Dean Valsos. Do we have any questions? I see Senator Roberts.
I wanted to ask if you still support, I know that was something that we talked about last year, but I was wondering if you still support the idea of raising GA pay.
It is on the agenda for the Graduate Curriculum and Policy Submeet this year. Could someone from student government send me a copy of that resolution, though, of the final resolution, because I never got a copy of it?
I will gladly send you over.
Thank you. But you should know we have brought it to the attention of the president, our new provost, Dr. Hood, and it is on our agenda this year. We're currently continuing the research that we began last year about rates and cost of living and things like that. So that is very much on our minds.
Thank you. President Zelmer.
That subcommittee you spoke of, is there a student representative on that committee?
It was Senator Roberts, right? Are you continuing?
Do I have any other questions? Senator Dustin.
I just wanted to know, because currently I think the school curriculum is set up in a way that that requires international students specifically to have like some number of classes in person and then some online. And I have an experience with a student who told me that he's about to graduate, and then the few classes he has to complete are all like offered online, but then they require him to take something in person. Can you speak to that?
Well, that's not necessarily a university requirement. I believe it's a system requirement. It's also a requirement just for all international students that a majority of their classes have to be in person. So if you've got a student who is unable to meet that requirement and it puts them at risk of losing their visa and being out of status, definitely we would like to know about it, and then the Kearney International Center should also know about it, and then we'll try to work together to figure out how that student can get some sort of accommodation to stay in status. We are aware that since the pandemic, a lot of programs have moved classes online, but we're also sensitive to the fact that we need to support the international students to stay in status.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions for Dean Valsos? Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, Dean Valsos. And do we have anyone else? I see Mark Constantine for open forum.
I'll try to make this quick. Our open forum's gone a little longer than normal sometimes, but my name is Mark Constantine. Unlike my colleague David Cowan, I don't have any bribes for you today related to handing anything out to you. But 4 months ago, I was here with those that were here to welcome you, and I just wanted to do that as well since we've had summer break. I work here in the student union with the student union and student activities, and it's great to see all of you back. Like some of the other folks have said, it's been so joyous, I think, for all of us the last few days to see what a real campus looks like again after having a few years of not. To have the life in the building and across campus and people outside of tables and things like that, it's great overall. I always talk about the CSU being your home away from home. Want to make sure my door is always open. I'm down in 220 in CSU, as well as my staff in CSU, the student administration, as well as the student activities folks. So please always know that our doors are open. We're here to help you in any way that we can. I always want to give a plug to, as you start filling appointments, I work with two important groups on campus. And it's never too early for me to start these plugs. It's the Student Allocations Committee and the Student Union Board. And we need you all to pass on to your fellow students to volunteer for some of these committees. There's applications that go through the student portal under the student government, under presidents. We want good people. We need good people to fill up that 9-position Student Allocations Committee. 3 of the folks can come from this body, but the rest are at large. And then the Student Union Board is a board that my staff and myself work collectively with on a regular basis to sort of get feedback about the building and what we're doing and how we can make it better and what we can do to help all of our experiences overall. So if you have friends, some of you can sit on the union board as well if you'd like to, but we're looking for people, so make sure you go ahead and pass the good word for us about all those things. Again, welcome. Glad to have you back, and always know I'm at most of the meetings as well. Anything I can do for you, but it doesn't have to be during the meetings. Anytime outside the meetings as well. And I'll stand for questions.
Thank you very much, Mark Constantine. President Zelmer.
I just wanted to thank you for the new chairs.
Oh.
That's all I have.
You're welcome. We got new chairs in the building, in this room, if you haven't noticed, and we had a few, unfortunately, that came damaged. So we will. When you guys fill all your seats, we'll have enough seats to fill them as soon as we get a few more back. I should say one more thing about I work closely with the dining services as well, and as all of you recognize, we have a number of new concepts. I ask all of you to be patient the first week or so. They're all learning new concepts in the building related to Starbucks and some other places, and maybe a little slower than some of us want along the way. But that's part of new students are back working, haven't done some of these before, and the staff's learning those as well. So everybody be patient with each other, smile, and thank Dining Services for all the great things that we've done over the summer. And I hope you will enjoy the new fruits of our labor between Chick-fil-A downstairs in the lower level, Starbucks, Firehouse Subs, Peking Plate, and Hishu Sushi. Those are our new areas as well. And any other questions, Speaker?
I was going to say thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? And seeing none, thank you very much,
Thanks.
Mark Constantine. And then I'm terribly sorry, but I saw your hand raised, and I'm not familiar with your name.
I'm JC Horton.
JC Horton?
I'm here for a student events team.
Wonderful.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay. So my name is JC Horton. I am the Student Events Team Vice President, and I've just come here to talk more about Student Events Team and kind of introduce if you guys don't know what it is. So what we do is we plan events for the entire campus and sometimes even the public of Mankato to come to. Some of the events that we just did was bingo, where we've had the most people come ever and ran out of seats way before it even started. Other things I would like to mention is some upcoming events that we have, which is the foam party on Saturday, August 27th, the pool party, which is Tuesday, August 30th. We have a live reptile show in September, and then, of course, homecoming, which we have events going on every day that we help with. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for JC from the Student Events Team? Any questions? And seeing none, thank you very much for coming. All right, did I have anyone else for open forum? John Volkoff.
Thank you. I'm going to try to set the example and be short with this so that you can move quickly with your meeting. For many of you, I do know you from previous experience. For some of you, I may be a new face. My name is John Bulcock. I serve as Assistant Director of Student Activities for Fraternity and Sorority Life, and I also serve as Advisor to Student Government. So I get to know your executive leadership much closer than I do at most individual senators, unless you come to me for help on a project, which I'm always willing to do. So I wear multiple hats on campus. I work with Greek life and then obviously student government. Off-campus housing is an area that I work with. And then also this year I'm stepping into an acting role where I'm serving kind of as the associate director really for student activities as Greg Wilkins, my supervisor, is away on sabbatical for the entire year. He'll be back in July of 2023, so I'm filling in that role a little bit too. So our team is very much stretched thin this year as we are searching for a vacant to fill a vacant position in that Emmy Menk, who was overseeing RSO's leadership and non-traditional students, left the university in the middle of the summer. And so we have that vacancy as well. So we're very busy downstairs and lots of stuff going on, but we're going to stay afloat, I tell you what. As the advisor for student government, I just want to say welcome to the beginning of the year. Also give you some encouragement to take advantage of the opportunity to do most of your work outside of this meeting. This is really an update. These meetings, there have been some years where these meetings go 3.5 hours. There's been some years where the meetings go 45 minutes to an hour. I'll tell you, the senators are and the gallery, much more happy with those 45-minute to hour-long meetings. So as much as you can accomplish outside of these meetings in your committees, that's where all the dirty work should be done. This is for voting and all that kind of stuff. So welcome back to a normal year. Hopefully you are able to accomplish things. Don't be afraid to ask for help from those who've been around this table before, or folks like myself and Amber, who is the office manager for student government. She's a great resource as well, so please keep that in mind. Ask questions. Things are going to move pretty quickly, okay? So take advantage of resources. Don't be afraid to look stuff up online and find answers to questions. But if you can't find them, ask, and we'll try to get those answers to you. The biggest update I have is about a priority that was made clear by student government leadership last year, and that was to improve the capacity and the robustness of the off-campus housing website. In terms of being able to search for housing, to find roommate matches and all that kind of stuff. And I'm pleased to report that while I was away on sabbatical, led by Ryan Strelo, who is one of the staff members here in the CSU, they went out for a request for proposals from vendors to actually provide that service rather than something here at the university. IT capacity, they're stretched thin. The ability for us to constantly and consistently keep stuff updated was a bit of a question. And so they went out for a request for proposals, and a vendor was selected, and literally we got the signed contract back today. So in the coming weeks, you're going to see the rollout of a new housing searchable database, all that kind of stuff that will help students hopefully in their search for housing stuff. So that's a big update and accomplishment that was done while I was away on sabbatical last semester. So as I mentioned, I was away on sabbatical last semester, so I'm still catching up on some of this. I wasn't around during your election and all of that, so again, don't be afraid to make introductions or to ask me questions, but I will yield for questions if there are any.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the good news. Do we have any questions? Any questions? All right, and seeing none, thank you, John Wilcox. All right, do we have anybody else for open forum? Anybody else? Senator Dustin?
So for this open forum, I'm going to briefly step out of my capacity as senator to speak as a private student. So first of all, I just wanted to take this time to welcome everyone and to also express my thanks and appreciation to the student government and the school administration for being able to work with international students, especially in an unprecedented situation of the health insurance. So as we all know, some part of May 26, I guess, the Office of International Student Services, the KIC, sent out an email to international students that there was a transitioning from the split insurance policy to a one-time payment policy, which could have allowed international students to pay their health insurance one time, like $21,000 flat down without making a negotiation. So that email, I think it met a lot of students with dissatisfaction and confusion. People were confused. I saw students creating petitions online, trying to express how that was going to impact their retention and also their financial capacity. And I was just able to step into that too, to work with other students. And fortunately for me, I was able to get the support of the president and the vice president, and we had a meeting with the cabinet, and they were able to understand the position of students to maintain the split payment policy for at least 1 year. So that is a really good achievement for the student leadership, and I just wanted to thank everyone, and also to thank the school for being flexible in that respect. And to that end, I'm going to pursue this as my project for the rest of the student, for the rest of this year, to make sure that this consideration is not just going to be for 1 year, but to be something that will continue, because a lot of students support it, and we cannot make a policy that students don't want. So that is the reasons we are here, to advocate for our peers. And so I'm very pleased to say this is a project, and I will need your support. Thank you so much. I will yield to questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Yes, Senator Bassett.
It's more of a comment than the question. As a student leader, as a student advocate, as a private student, as an international student, I'm so thankful, grateful, and I really appreciate this doing all of you guys. We were working on the health insurance, and then getting into this point, and then having that email is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? And seeing none, thank you very much. Oh, sorry, do you have anything else to say?
I just wanted to ask our president and vice president if they feel comfortable to stand up, and we gave them a round of applause, because they were so into this. I was so surprised, because over the summer we all know it was not time to work. They were obviously doing their different things, and for them to really respond to my emails and come out in person to work with me on this project, I think that was really a demonstration of true leadership. So do you guys feel comfortable? I'm sorry for the Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And now, also, a well-deserved round of applause for Senator Dustin. Very nice. And do we have any other people for open forum? Any other people? Seeing none, we are going to move along to our next item on the agenda, which is the approval of consent agenda. For new people, this is where we will oftentimes put things that are seen as non-controversial, such as RSO allocations or appointment of people to committees. This is something that we will all vote on to approve of as a whole, instead of going line by line by line to discuss certain things. However, if you have a problem with something listed on the consent agenda, you can make a motion and we can pull something for discussion. With that being said, Senator Roberts.
Motion to pull the Encounter MSU, and mainly for the reasons that we're going to be talking about later on in new business SAC guideline revisions that might give them the opportunity to request more to better support students.
All right. Senator Roberts has put a motion on the table. Do I have a second? Oh.
Could I yield to something real quick?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna yield to Mark, just if, with the question of, were these new guidelines taken into account when this was put on here, or do we need to pull it and talk about new guidelines?
My recommendation would be to go through the consent agenda, and then if you all talk about the guidelines and you decide, you'll get this later on, if you decide to go from our present to $70 to $100, we can go ahead and reimburse those groups the extra money after that if this group chooses to go ahead and move that on rather than table it. But it doesn't really matter one way or another to me. I'm saying that if we do this, we can do that after the fact if we need to.
I'd like to amend the motion, then to actually just pull the motion.
All right, Senator Roberts has pulled their motion. So with that cleared off of the board then, is there any other objections to the approval of the consent agenda? Seeing no objections, we will vote on the approval of consent agenda by raise of hand or placard. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please raise their hand or placard. Very well. Everybody hands down. Anybody opposed to the approval of the consent agenda? Any abstentions? Very well. Seeing that it is unanimous, the consent agenda is approved. And we can now move on to officer reports. This is an area of the agenda where myself and the other members of the exec board will brief you guys on what we have been up to and if we have any specific information for you guys that may concern you. First, I will yield to President Zelmer.
Cool. Well, hi, friends. Welcome to Senate and your new school year. I hope you all have been feeling the energy around campus. But I'm excited to be able to work with you all this year and for us to work as a team as we support students of the university. So to kick off the meeting, I have a few things to pass around. So a little bit about me. I joined student government my first year in 2018. I was a Res Life senator. Then the speaker stepped down. I was the speaker as a freshman, and my second year I was the speaker. My last 2 years I've been up at the system office with Students United doing statewide student org stuff, and now I'm back. Hi, thanks for electing me. Thanks. But something that the president my first year did that I found really helpful to me, so shout out President Mimi Cronin if she's listening, and probably not, but was that she had a one-on-one with every senator, or a 2 or 3 on one. That sounds weird, but had a meeting with every senator just to make sure that they felt good about everything going on, as well as to talk about projects. I've been around for a while, so I'd love to be able to help give some advice, point you in the right direction, and be able to answer any questions you might have to make sure we can accomplish as much as we possibly can this year. So I'm going to pass around a meeting sign-up sheet. These are just 30 minutes, so you feel free, if the speaker can give us a thumbs up, to pull out your phone and calendar to sign up for a time on here. Proxies, no need to sign up. I'll be emailing the senators who aren't here today. I'm trying to get these done by our next meeting. Reason being is that us 3 have meet and confer next week with the president's cabinet, as well as any chairs that will be appointed, or committee coordinators, to kind of be able to talk about what senators might be working on this year with cabinet. If none of these times work, please write, I'm going to make a new little form. So write under the line, write your name and just say the time does, none of these times work. There is 2 pages of times, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday through Wednesday of next week. So just write your name down for one of the times. If none of the times work, write your name down at the bottom. That way we can find a time that works for you. So I'm going to pass these around, take a peek at a time, and those can go around throughout the meeting. So take a moment, make sure the time works for you. I'll send out calendar invites tonight, hopefully, to everyone. Beyond that, another thing will be going around. If you all haven't heard yet, there's an election in November. We just found out who our on-campus GOTV staff coordinator will be. And we have a meeting, well, I'm setting up a meeting with them, but I really want us to be really engaged in this work so we can win. It's called the Democracy Cup that the Secretary of State gives out to the university that has the highest voter turnout for their students who can vote. So we want to win that this year. We want that under our name. So I'm going to pass around a GOTV work group. This is unofficial. It's not a committee or anything. But if you're interested in kind of helping with how we can get more students registered to vote, or you want to just kind of be in the loop on what's going on those, write your name down on this sheet. That sheet can probably go around a bit faster. Beyond that, I will be sending out an email tonight, probably, or else the speaker will, it's called a senator intake form. It'll have your name, pronouns, and your preferred name on it, so then we can make your placards. We're going to include pronouns on them this year. Beyond that, it asks your birthday as well as your favorite treats, so stay tuned for some fun things, as well as what committees you might be interested in. Beyond being on either academic or student affairs based on your roles, you are also required to join another committee. It'll have a whole list of all of them. Please select every one you're interested in or you think sound cool, and then in our one-on-one we can chat about which one is the one you want, and I can see what I can do. There's over 220 appointments we have to fill as a group. So please, once you look at that list, see if you think of anyone that comes to mind. Be able to select all those. So that'll be going out. Make sure you fill that out, hopefully, either tonight or tomorrow. For summer meetings, thank you, Senator Destin for bringing up international student health care. That was something we accomplished this summer. You all saw that when we did the Applebee's email. So as we accomplish things, we'll hopefully be able to celebrate together. And we'll continue working on that with you this year to see what we can do to support international students. There's also system-wide committees that students can serve on. International Student Healthcare Advisory Committee is also a system-wide committee, so let me know if you're interested in getting involved at those higher levels. I don't appoint those, but I know who does, so we can plug you in on Students United. Beyond that, I also, myself and Vice President, we had a lot of summer meetings with admin. We're really trying to lay the groundwork for us as a team. So that way, we have good relationships with administration. It makes it a lot easier to get things done when we can go in to Dr. Jones's office and, talk about what we've been up to, as well as, hopefully if admin see us as students and as people, maybe they'll be able to be a bit more receptive to things we want to accomplish. So I've been laying the groundwork with those relationships to make sure that, if you're struggling to get a meeting, we can send that email and make sure you get plugged in as soon as possible to support you all. Beyond that, as student body president, I serve as the board member on Students United. It's a nonprofit, so it operates very differently than we do here. We had our first meeting, which was in August. So just a rundown, Students United represents the 7 state universities at the local, system, state, and federal level. So they meet with the Board of Trustees, with the Chancellor who oversees all 37 colleges and universities, as well as they have the first, they get asked for testifiers on state ledge stuff, as well as federal legislative. So I will be coming with more updates. If you all can think of any priorities that you want on the top of the list system-wide, I brought up international student health care as one of those, since that's a system-wide policy. As well as if you can think of anything else that you really want to be a priority at that state, system, federal level, please let me know so I can bring it up to the board there. Or any other issues that we come up with that are system issues, let me know and I can make sure that they are working on it. Other than that, we'll have a meeting in September as well. I'll be bringing a motion next week about our budget and the green transportation fee in order to move that to the system level to make sure we can do what we want here. So stay tuned for that, and if you're interested in system-wide committees, please let me know so I can get normally the first people who apply for those get in for those, so let me know. And then GOTV is going around. That'll be a big thing this year, but I'm excited to meet with you all throughout the semester. I'm happy, we're in the office all the time. I also work in the admissions office, so if I'm not there, Amber always knows where I am. So make sure you stop by the office this year. I know some of you stopped by for muffins on the first day, so thanks for doing that. And as I try to bake more, I'll bring more in, so stay tuned. That's all I have. I yield back.
Amazing. Thank you very much, President Zelmer. Do we have any questions for President Zelmer? Would someone be willing to yield to Mark Constantine?
I'll yield to Mark.
All right, Mark Constantine.
I just wanted to know if any of those muffins can make it down to our office after.
I got it. They are today.
Yeah, so I'll make another batch. I have more zucchini sitting around, so.
Any other questions for President Zelmer? Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I will move along to Vice President Ibrahim's update.
And for me, I have met with a couple of admins to start, President Elmer says that to start a connection with them ahead of time. I was with President Home Retreats where I share our platforms for this year. In the summer, I also have been invited to a great Mankato inclusivity study that talks about gender, age, ethnicities, and culture issues around Mankato area. So that was great, just representing student governments. We had also our student government retreats where we brainstormed some projects that we will be working on for this year. So that's all I have for you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Vice President Ibrahim? Any questions at all? All right, seeing none, then we will move along, and it's time for my report. But I've already burned a large amount of your guys' time, so I will try to keep this very brief, and I will tell you guys that I am working on setting regular office hours in which I will be in the office, and I highly encourage people to come stop by and talk to me at any time. I've been around for a hot minute, so besides any questions related to my role as speaker, if you just want help looking for resources to work on projects, please stop by. I know my core hours will include Wednesday 2 p.m. up till 4 p.m. when our meeting is going to be. I will likely also be placing some office hours on either Monday or Tuesday. I will have those posted outside of my office as soon as I finalize those, but I encourage people to stop by. I will also be asking everybody to begin considering what you would like to work on for your project. I'm aware that some people have already picked out a project, which is great. It is totally all right if you have not decided on a project yet. If you would like to help brainstorm something to work on, please, you can come talk to me or my two lovely, lovely friends up here, and we can find something to help you guys work on. I know that we had a couple of speakers come for open forum who brought up some things that could be very interesting, very good projects to work on. So I endorse reaching out to any of them as needed if that is something that you are interested in. I will be expecting everyone to be doing a project, and I will be following up with everybody to make sure that you are working on a project. So if you don't have something within the next couple of weeks, I encourage you to come talk to me and we can find something to work on. Yeah, go ahead.
So next week we'll be starting, normally at 3 o'clock we have student affairs and academic affairs. Next week we're going to have a combined one where we're all going to get together and hopefully set some, even though we all have our individual projects, it would be nice if we could come up with a couple key priorities as a group. So that way, you know, if any of us are just in a random meeting, we kind of know where we stand on some key issues. So that'll be at 3 o'clock. We'll check on the room. It'll be in the email for next week. But stay tuned and come with some ideas for that, and we'll be talking about that in your one-on-ones as well.
Amazing, thank you. The last thing that I have to add as part of my update is that office hours will be due 2 weeks from now. I am willing to blank this week since people did not know about office hours up until now, halfway through the week. So your office hours can include this week, should you choose to, but they will not be due until not next Friday, but the Friday afterwards, which I'm bad at dates, but it's probably somewhere around September 10th, question mark? Somewhere in that area, but the 9th. I was one day off. I was very close. I'm proud of myself for that. But I will open it up if anybody has any questions for me. Any questions? Yes.
So you said like those office hours count as like activities that we do that involve student government, correct?
Yes,
so,
they.
Can you like explain more just to make sure I'm understanding the office hours?
Absolutely. It's kind of like a funky subject. But office hours are any time that you are doing something to represent student government or volunteering at any of our service opportunities on campus. So this meeting does not count, unfortunately. However, any other committees that you are a part of, you can count any time spent there as office hours. Any time that you are spent working on your projects can count as office hours. Any time that is spent, if, for example, we as student government are hosting an event and you come to that event as a member of student government, and if you help out, or honestly, if you even just participate, I'm willing to count that as office hours. Additionally, to follow up with Senator, please pronounce me if I, or please catch me if I mispronounce this, but Dermenci? Yeah, with what Senator Dermenci said before, if your project is even something related to like an RSO, and it's related to that RSO's activities, that would be acceptable. What would not be acceptable is unrelated, unaffiliated RSOs or other organizations doing any sort of non-student government related activities. But yeah, if you have any other questions about does this count as office hours, does this count as office hours, please email me and I will be happy to get back to you on a clarification on that. Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes?
I have one question. How do we submit those hours? Just to you directly, in person or by email?
So we will have a form that should already be live on Presence, but if it is not, I will make sure that it is live. That says Senator Office Hours Submission. that would be under the presence.io student government organization, and then you go to forms and you'll be able to find the office hours submission, and it will have some lovely formatting tips there. If you submit it via that, that is perfect, that is amazing. If Presence is not cooperating with you for whatever reason, or you're not able to get that to work, I would accept office hours submitted via email, though I would prefer the usage of Presence if possible. Awesome. Any other questions? Nice. Seeing no further questions, thank you very much. That is all for my report, and we will move along. We do not have any senator reports for today, but if we did have any, and we will in the future, those will go right here. I will be asking people to start signing up for senator reports next week. So next week, come prepared with a general idea of when you may want to be giving those reports. Vacancies. I'm going to announce the vacancies that we have. The following vacancies will open for election next week, August 31st. Residential Community Senator, College of Allied Health and Nursing, Graduate Studies Senator, College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and a second College of Humanities and Social Sciences. All of those positions will be open for election next week, and we have one final vacancy which will be open for election 2 weeks from now on September 7th, being an off-campus senator. If you know somebody who is interested in running for any of those positions, I highly recommend you to send them our way. And also, we have a lovely, lovely form on Presence, which is the vacancy candidate application, which essentially just includes some basic information about them so that we're able to contact them and reach out to them, as well as why they're interested in running for that position. And we will get into the process of vacancy elections at a later time because I don't want to burn too much of your time today. But does anybody have any questions about senator reports or vacancies? I will yield to John Bulcock.
Thank you, Speaker Novak. Just on the topic of vacancies, this is one of the things where I want to encourage you to be prepared for the meetings. For those of you who've sat around this table before, you know that vacancies and filling them can be a very long process. And so the application form that Speaker Novak referred to is meant to inform you about the candidates. Okay, and so those forms will be included when the agenda is made available to you for next week's meeting. Review the applications ahead of time, and please do not ask questions that have already been answered on that application. Okay, because those times there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats to be filled next week. That could take 2.5 hours. Okay, so please be prepared, review those applications and the materials submitted, and then you have the opportunity to ask questions during that process, but also think about the questions that you ask too. It's encouraged that you ask questions that are directly related to whether or not they can perform the role as a senator. Okay, because you'll be required to ask the same question of all of the candidates. So just keep that stuff in mind as you get ready for that as well. But one of the biggest things that I'm going to ask you to do is be prepared so that you're not asking questions that they have already answered in their application for you. Okay, so please, when it comes to that, help us out with that process.
Amazing, thank you very much. Then, do we have any further questions or comments on senator reports or vacancies? Seeing none, we will move along to new business. This is where we will put any new motions or bills that we are going to be discussing. And for today, we do have one to go through, which is a SAC guidelines revision. SAC is, of course, our Student Allocations Committee. I would say, Senator Douglas, Senator Roberts, are you willing to yield? Are you willing to speak on this? Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied.
Yes. So this is one of the last things that SAC did last year. Unfortunately, the Senate was no longer in session when we passed as a committee these revisions. So I'm going to just kind of give you an overview of each of these, and then feel free to direct questions my way. All right. So the first one, the primary reason for this, and this came last year, where there's kind of a new precedent kind of set in the budget meeting in terms of this 80% of the top salary rule. Particularly, this applied to the student events team. One of the things that SAC had to deal with was essentially we can't really approve a system where the structure is evenly split. So what student events team came and said, all of their positions up on the top worked about the same amount of time, so why can't they just be paid the same? And this policy here and the SAC guidelines prevents us from taking that action. In other words, every single year, if we were not to adopt this, SAC would have to be like, well, please explain your justification for this every single year. And instead of going through that painful process that is just unnecessary because new precedent has been set, why don't we just establish the precedent and make it permanent? So student events team doesn't have to justify it every single year, and then SAC being like, well, that's going to be student government's job to deal with when we don't approve it because of the guidelines. The second line item here is just basically cleaning up the language. Engage used to be a prior, it's pretty much present, but before, instead we're using RSO Student Portal instead. It's just more inclusive language because the presence probably won't be around forever. We will probably eventually change systems at some point, and it's just something more inclusive. The third one, and this was kind of a really big one here. Namely, this is adapting to university policy primarily. So this is mainly university policy. The other thing that we put in here that wasn't necessarily university policy, but you do have to submit it in advance, was just saying, hey, the sooner that you submit it, the easier our jobs are. In terms of a SAC, and sometimes things take a while. Sometimes we might have to ask some questions back, and preferably 4 weeks gives us enough time to do our job effectively as a committee. But that's pretty much roughly, it's adapting university policy and then just kind of giving some better guidance for the 4 weeks. The last item here is just adapting for inflation. It's been a hot second since the $70, since it was increased to $70. So we're just adapting to inflation and basically giving students a little bit more wiggle room to work with in terms of better funding what students want to do in terms of travel-related activities. I yield back to the speaker.
Thank you very much. As this was brought by a committee, we do not need a second for this motion, so we can go directly into, first it would be questions and then discussion. Do we have any questions for the person who brought this motion, or is representing the committee that brought the motion? Any questions? Seeing none, we will be able to move directly into discussion. So, moving into discussion, does anybody have any points of discussion related to this motion? President Zelmer?
I think that these all make sense. They reflect university policy. I'm glad we're updating inflation costs since everything costs a lot more right now, as well as I like having the student orgs and the organizations that are funded by our student allocation fee, which we'll be getting periodic trainings on throughout the year, are able to kind of set their own budget up to them and decide, how much their students deserve to be paid from that budget. So I'm in support of this motion, and I hope we all vote to approve it.
Do we have any other points of discussion? Senator Roberts?
Motion, no previous question.
Motion to move previous question. I'm going to ask, instead of if there's a second, is there any dissent to moving previous question? Seeing no dissent, we will move previous question, and we will go to a vote on this. We will vote by raising hand and or placard. So I ask all who are in favor of this motion, please raise your hand or placard. seeing that it is already unanimous, I will not ask for anyone to who is opposed or abstaining, and the new SAC guidelines pass. Wonderful. Well done, everybody. Senator Roberts.
Motion to recall from earlier on in the consent agenda encounter MSU and updating that number to 1,400 to 2,000.
I must say, I'm not familiar with the process entirely on recalling something from the consent agenda. I will yield to President Zelmer if you're able to shed more light on that process.
So since it's been approved, I don't think we can reconsider it, but I think since we're trying to make sure that these organizations can get the amount of funding they want, that's your intent, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That we possibly, Mark, let me know if this doesn't make sense for SAC, but motion to have SAC consider the new guidelines with the 3 already approved consent agenda items. Would that help us what we're trying to do?
I think the easiest thing, because the only one really is affected on this,
Okay.
the middle one,
Yep.
is to give Teresa Schwartz the authority to bump that one from 1,400 to 2,000, and then we'll let the organization do it to move forward, and then any other ones we have come forward from here on will automatically be the $100 per person versus the 70. It's a simple administrative thing to do.
Would anybody like to make the motion to give Teresa Schwartz the ability and authority to do so? Senator Roberts.
Motion to give Teresa Schwartz the authority to raise the amount and discuss further with Encounter MSD before potential increase up to the new updated SAC guidelines.
Well, do I have a second on that motion? Second from Senator Nguyen. Do I have any dissent on that motion? Oh, would someone like to yield to Mark Constantine? I'm yielding to Mark Constantine.
For the new folks, just want to let you know, Teresa Schwartz is one of the co-advisors of SAC with myself, and she's the administrative person who takes care of all the budget things. So when you hear her name, I just want to give you some background. That's why we're giving her the authority, because she's the person that contacts these organizations on a regular basis when they go ahead and make the request, and she gets back to them on giving the disseminating the dollars. Okay?
Amazing.
Education.
Thank you very much for the clarification. With the new information taken in, is anybody in opposition or dissenting to the motion to give Teresa Schwartz the authority to raise the allocated amount from $1,400 to $2,000 should the organization deem that necessary? Any dissent? Seeing no dissent, this motion passes. Very nice. All right. As we have completed our new business, we would move on to old business, where we would put anything that had been tabled from the previous meeting. We do not have anything, so we will now move on to announcements. Do we have any announcements? Senator Roberts.
Just gonna do a slight plug-in for speech and debate. Our meetings are on every Monday at 4 p.m. up in Armstrong 311. So if you want to work on public speaking, speech, debate, competition, a lot of fun stuff that goes on up there, just come swing by Mondays 4 p.m. and Armstrong Hall 311.
Thank you very much. I am also aware that we had an announcement from Robert from IT. Is Robert from IT able to come for an announcement, or would somebody like to give the announcement on the behalf? Oh yes, here we go.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say hi and say it's very happy to serve you guys this year and welcome back.
Amazing, thank you very much. Very cool. Do we have any other announcements? John Volkoff.
Thank you. For those who are wondering what announcements are in the agenda, this is a time for you to talk about stuff that's generally not related to your Senate business. It may be other RSOs you're involved with or outside things and things like that. So I'm going to mention some stuff for fraternity and sorority life. I advise that group. It's a very active time of the year for those organizations with recruitment going on. For those who are interested, this evening both the fraternity and sorority communities are hosting social events that are open to all students. There's no obligation, no pressure to join. It's just checking it out. The fraternity men will be out on the Performing Arts lawn from 5 to 8. They just started that event, and the sorority women are hosting a meet and greet social in 253, 4, and 5 right next door from 8 to 10 this evening. So if there's any interest in stopping by, saying hi, meeting and mingling with those community members, that's a great opportunity. Also, on another note, something just to put on your calendar and give you plenty of notice for, and I'm guessing that Speaker Novak might consider this office hours, but on Saturday, September 10th, the first MSU home football game is taking place, and you may have seen some students around campus wearing snazzy black T-shirts that say Roll Mavs on them. Student Government is a sponsor of those T-shirts and is the group that hands them out at the first home football game. And so there are going to be 10 to 12 volunteers needed to fill those spots to hand out those T-shirts at that home football game on the 10th. The game's at 6. We're finding out what time the gates open for sure, but we'll need folks to help get the shirts over there and hand them out at that first game. So put that on your calendar if you're interested in being part of that group. My guess, I'm not speaking for, but my guess is that that might be able to count as office hours for the week. So please check in with Speaker Novak if you are interested in helping with that T-shirt distribution.
Will absolutely count as office hours. Did I say? Okay.
If I can make one more announcement too. One other thing you'll notice is that there are some folks around the gallery who didn't introduce themselves. One of the things to always know is that what you say and what you do is newsworthy, and so you have a member of the reporter staff who's here and will be covering your meetings, almost all of them. So be cognizant of what you're saying, and if there is interest or there are questions, that person may be asking you those questions. So that's why you see somebody here.
Thank you very much. Do I have any other announcements? President Zelmer?
So I have a few announcements. First, we'll be sending out something. I forgot to send out a sign up for the shirt distribution. Beyond that, for athletics, I have the Student Athletic Committee. I don't know the title. Their representative, who represents all the athletes, Sydney, she'll be coming in hopefully next week to introduce herself. I'm hoping that this year we'll be able to partner a bit more with athletics. I hope as student leaders and as people who represent the student body will set the example of going to athletic events. So they will be sending what they call kind of a priority games list. So then we know what games we should be attending because they're like hotly contested and they want more fans. I hope we'll be able to lead the students in attending more of those. Also, I hope we'll all be at the first football game, so when I do get that sign-up sheet out, I hope we'll all be there, and also you get first dibs on one of the shirts in your size, so make sure you show up for that. I also wanted to talk about the week of August, or September 5th. So the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th is inauguration week for President Inch. So since he's been here a year, and then this year we are having his inauguration where it'll be like officially official that he's our president. So there will be events. You see posters around campus. There's pizza with the president that will be happening for students, as well as on that Friday the 9th, at 3 p.m., the inauguration ceremony will be held. There will be important people from the system, universities from the colleges, and presidents from the colleges and universities there. I'll be speaking there, and students are at large invited. So I hope as student government, we will all mark that date on our calendar. 3 p.m. on the 9th, I'll send out a calendar invite and stuff for that to make sure we're all there. We can also, all wear our suits or any other fun clothes that we never get to wear anymore to that to make sure we show up, as well as support the president as he is inaugurated, and me as I speak, please. So we'll be able to show up to that. And also, this week is the last week to buy Students United tickets to the 55th celebration. So that is September 8th, that Thursday. It is held up in the Twin Cities, so we can kind of figure out a carpool as well as maybe some places people can stay if we have houses up there or anything. Those tickets do cost money, but there'll be a lot of big names there. At the 50th, Amy Klobuchar showed up, so some like nice shoulders to rub with, as well as, you know, be able to go and support Students United. So let me know if you're interested, and, you know, I don't know if we can apply to SAC, but maybe we can talk to some different departments if we have student buy-in to see maybe the president will sponsor some of our tickets, or others. You know, maybe some of like Student Affairs Office wants to sponsor some tickets as well. So we can kind of ask around if students would like to attend to see how we can support each other in attending, and hopefully I can have access to like tickets if you all have like last second requests. But let me know if you're interested in that, and I can make sure you apply. Also for Students United, sorry, this is like 8 announcements, but for Students United, the Student Leadership Cohort, which are paid internships, which are hybrid, that application is open. They'll hire 1 student from Mankato. You'll be able to get a great inside scoop to nonprofit work as well as the different areas they have. You can apply at studentsunited.org, so make sure you go apply for those. If you're interested in that, I think applications close for that pretty soon. So go on probably this week, get your application in. Unfortunately for that, I'm not able to help write letters of rec or anything since I'm a board member. But if you all want to know more about Students United and what the student leadership cohort looks like, let me know, as I was kind of, not a supervisor, but I was able to work with a lot of them last year. So those are a few things for me, but make sure you mark September 9th at 3 p.m. on your calendars to come to the inauguration. I yield, sorry.
Amazing, thank you very much. I will go to Senator Bassett in a second, but I know that Mark Constantine had an announcement.
Yeah, just real quick, Robert Peterson introduced himself through online. Robert is in charge of the streaming that you all do all the time, and I wanted to give a shout out to Robert and Mary. Mary's on this camera over here, and the other staff members for all the work that they do for you all. It's the beginning of the year. Robert and his group did a lot of work this summer too to be able to improve the services for you all, and also some other places on campus related to technology and cabling. So Robert and Mary and the rest of the group, I say thank you all for doing a good work, and I want to make sure that the Senate understands that they're really in your corner and do a great job for you as well. So just want to make sure we recognize Robert for his work, and Mary and the rest of the staff.
Completely agree. To Senator Bassett.
Okay, from now on, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. CST 201, every enrollment team will be doing the workshop on advocacy for leadership and also to improve the leadership skills. So if you are interested, please come on join us and
Thank you very much. Do I have any other announcements? Any other announcements? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to roll call, and then we can go ahead and adjourn. Steal my pen back. So, I will now go down the list once again. Do we have Senator Jeeber Miriam? Amazing, thank you. Do we have Senator Bassett? All right. Senator Kang? Thank you. Senator Larson? Thank you. Senator Woldekaida? Thank you. Senator Duvenci? Thank you. Senator Nguyen? Thank you. Senator Roberts? Here. Amazing, thank you. Senator Avera? Thank you. Senator Kuhn? Here. Wait. Quinn. Oh my gosh. I was like, in my head, I was like, is it Kuhn or Quinn? I have to figure it out before it roll call. Senator Nurala? Here. Thank you. Senator Al-Harbi? Senator Al-Harbi? Senator Dustin? Yep. Senator Atmaker? Senator Atmaker? Senator Mendez Martinez? Senator Haas? No. Senator Mesta? Senator Osman. Senator Osman. Thank you. Senator Parikh. Was that the correct pronunciation this time? Okay, I'm going to work on it. Senator C. Thank you. Senator Blanchard. Senator Hansen. Senator Josh. Proxy Walls. And President Zelmer. Amazing. Vice President Ebering. Amazing. And myself. Wonderful. All right. With that, I call our sorry, President Zelmer. I call our Senate meeting adjourned. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. If you are willing to, I would love to take a picture all together and post it on our Instagram. But if you don't want to,
could
it's
you
fine.
take a picture for us?
Yep.
If we go this side?
All right.
Everybody's at the side.